bis 3 Minuten oder so. Es ist so ein interner Team-Meeting, aber das ist schnell. Brand management is a lot of coordination job between the different R&D departments, between our marketing agency, between the sales and customer service, and just generally trying to manage the whole business for 2 different units, for windsurfing and for SUP and surfboards. I'm quite actively involved in the marketing part and dealing with the team riders, which is a part of the R&D process as well, and very active in the product development with our shaper and our test teams. Gertenbach, Fanatic brand manager. Well, we try to delegate it step by step. So we have a couple of team riders like Klaus Vogert from Germany, who's in charge of our wave and wave freestyle development. He's doing that since 8-9 years now. So step by step we can delegate the responsibilities to him, but we try to stay involved on, certain stages of the R&D. We like to come in, the shaper, Sebastian Wenzel and myself, to give some feedback. Maybe there's some things he didn't notice because he has a different weight to us, or maybe there's things for the professional which are not quite as important as they are for the average customer. So we try to mix it and let them lead, because they're all the day on the water. We're working, but sometimes on the water. So we try to let them lead with the new ideas and then make sure that the new ideas are also working for mass production. So we want to make sure that the customer really has a benefit from the new trends that are coming from the World Cup or from competition sailing in general. Yeah. It's very different from product to product. So for example, the freeride products often comes more internally from us, from market requirements. If there's a competitor who's done something really good, we look at it very closely to stay on the pulse of the development. And in the race scene, we have a specialized race team who's actually doing the R&D based on pure performance for the World Cup, because they use the boards in the World Cup itself. So it's kind of stock car racing. It's a one design, more or less, or not a one design. It's more the boards that you can buy off the shelf are actually used by the competitors. So they're obviously very motivated to improve the product that we sell, because they use it themselves. So that's quite convenient. They want to have the best performing product for themselves. So let's say in wave, in freestyle and slalom, the guys are competing on the production boards. So the same board you can buy in the shop, they're using. There's no difference. It's all measured and controlled, so there's no way to cheat around that. So for sure, they're very motivated to make sure the product that we sell is as good as what's on the shelf. For the guys who do the wave performance, they have like a mixture of production off-the-shelf stuff and custom boards. So they're often competing in locations that are very specific, like in Hawaii or in Gran Canaria with 50 knots of wind. They might sometimes need a smaller board, or board which is very oriented towards control, etc. So it's a kind of a mixture there. But generally the guys are, we pay them to test the product and to make sure that it's the best. So they're not always coming with good news. Yeah, which is what we pay them for. Typically your magazine test or your importer will always tell you, yeah, the board's great, it's much better than last year. That's actually not really what we want to hear, because we knew that already. We want to have negative criticism, obviously constructive negative criticism, so we can move forward and improve from year to year. So that's the most important for us, is to know what's weak in the product so we can improve it. And that you generally get from team riders. They're pretty brutally honest about that. They want to improve it, and they don't want to be held back by the equipment. That's very important. Yeah. Can be anything. It can be, for example, that something small like the position of the mast track, where the sail and the board are attached, is wrong or needs to be adapted to a new style of sailing. It can be a bottom shape, if it's a V concept or if it's a monoconcave. Can be a fin position. Can be the weight of the boards, for example. They might not like the weight. They would like to have it sometimes even heavier. For big waves in SUP, they might like to have it very light for small mushy waves to have more reaction. Many things which get changed. The way to work in R&D is to make sure that you go step by step. So on the shape itself, you try not to change too many things at once and try to have a gradual development. That's quite easy for us because we work with a CAD system. Our shaper has got all the shapes since nearly 10 years now in his computer. So it's very easy for him to take the rail from one board and put 5 rails on top of each other on the screen and compare. So the changes are quite easy to make step by step. It's not that difficult to make the updates. Yeah. It's very different to hand shaping, where you have to, previously the way we did it, you take all the rocker sticks or all the outline curves, put them on top of each other, and you start measuring them off one by one. And that takes a lot of time. That's very manual labor compared to the CAD. Yeah. But generally I try to not stay too long in the office because I'm been traveling most of my life actually, and I like to get out, and it motivates you when you get out and meet the team riders or the shaper or shops or dealers, etc. Too long in the office is it gets very comfortable and routine, and you don't get as much inspiration for your daily work. So every 4 to 6 weeks I try to get out, even if it's a short trip, just to soak up some of the lifestyle a little bit and get some new inspiration. Yeah. There's different types of team riders. You have some guys who are just very good on the water itself, so they're very good at windsurfing or at SUPing, and sometimes that's enough just to be a world champion or top 5 or top 10 or whatever it is, because that generates coverage in magazines or on websites. If you're a brilliant windsurfer, you've covered quite a lot of ground already. There's the other guys who might perhaps not be regularly in the top 5, who are perhaps more involved in the R&D process. They make themselves more valuable by being involved deeper into the company with taking care of arranging their own photo shoots, helping more in the R&D, coming up with new ideas, doing videos of themselves. So it's a little bit different. I mean, generally, the good team rider is the one who has a good all-round knowledge, who can involve himself in the whole company, not just in the results, but also in marketing himself and our products and helping us to develop better products. So we like to have those type of guys in our team. We don't have a lot of really overpaid top stars whose job is just to be a star. Most of our guys are quite deeply involved in all aspects of the company. And that's why we like to work with them for longer as well. We keep our riders for, between 5 to over 10 years, a lot of the guys, and try to hold on to them as long as possible. Yeah. We have some very young guys. We try to support them with, what we don't try to do is take the very young guys and put them straight away on the world stage. So we have a few talents that we're bringing up from a national level, even a local shop level. We try to leave them sort of on their spot and maybe do 1 or 2 trips with them until they get to 17, 18, where they're a little bit more independent, because we don't have a full-time manager who could look after them when they're on the road. We try to delegate that to our older team riders to kind of take them under the wing, the more responsible ones obviously, because it's quite a big challenge if you're a teenager and you start going to events and there's all the parties and maybe some negative influences as well. So we don't try to push our guys to be world champions at 13. We rather cultivate them in the background as young talents, and when they're ready for the world stage, maybe with 16, 17, that's the right time to put them in that scenario. Yeah. Guito started very young with us, just with a basic support, and then I think we brought him to Fairmont, to the Surf Festival, and to the first World Cups when he was 15. Yeah, but I think that was the only time because he had such an incredible talent already at his age. And if you see where he is now, after 10 years, he hasn't been out of the top 3 in the world for the last 10 years. There's not many guys who can claim that, and yeah. Guito is quite an enigma because a lot of times you think he's a relaxed, sunny boy with his image, and he looks pretty cool and he looks pretty relaxed and everything, but he's an extremely competitive person. Very talented in a lot of other sports. In ball sports, he's actually very, very good. He's playing in the baseball team in Venezuela, in El Yaque, at his hometown, playing a lot of basketball and soccer. So he's a natural talent. If you see him on a SUP board, we saw him a couple of days ago kiting. All the kite guys were like, whoa, not bad. And surfing, he picks things up very easily. So he definitely has a natural ability, but he's also a very hard worker. So he definitely trains. So a lot of the guys, I've seen it, I was a professional athlete before, and you see most of the guys with the most talent are the ones who don't really ever use their talent to 100%. And he has a lot of talent, and he's used his talent to the maximum in windsurfing, that's for sure. You could never say that he's been sitting back and sort of only using part of it, or he's definitely a guy who trains and he uses his talent to the maximum, yeah. And his style is also very unique. So there's a lot of other guys who try to copy him and stuff, but it's a very, very powerful and fast style, which is visually for people who don't know the sport and for the people who know the sport. When you see him on the water, if he's having a good day in a competition, it's like there is no one else who can touch him. There's a lot of other good windsurfers out there, but when it gets to the really tough conditions and big move format, he's the king. Yeah. Yes, you can describe it. Windsurfing is like one of those things in life which is very difficult to do in the beginning, and even when you get better at it, it's a challenging sport. Every time you go out there, no matter how good you are, you're challenging yourself. It's not the easiest sport to learn. It's certainly a lot easier than it was 20 to 30 years ago. The modern equipment is very easy to use, but there's other sports which are easier. So if you're a windsurfer, you have the feeling that you're challenging yourself and that you're pushing yourself on the water. When you get out there and you're on the water and you finally have all your sails rigged up and you've got all the equipment ready, the feeling when you're gliding across the water or riding a wave or going fast is very different to a lot of other sports, because all the power from the rig goes through your body. So it's a quite physical sport. But it's also a sense of freedom when you're out there on the water. It's something that's difficult to describe, but let's say, like anything that you work hard for in life, when you've worked hard for it and you reap the benefit, that's how windsurfing is. It's a difficult sport to learn. The equipment is, it's big, it's bulky, you have to transport it, you have to put it together. But when you get out there, the reward is worth it because it's so much fun to be out there. So it's kind of a give and take in windsurfing. There's other sports where you just go to the beach with your surfboard and you put it under your arm and you paddle out. But then you need, to get one wave, you need sometimes 20 minutes. Whereas windsurfing, you step on the board and it's action from the moment that you're on the board. And you're just having fun from that moment onwards. And like I say, it's a challenge every day to improve or even to keep the same level. And it's at the end of the day, when you've had a couple of hours windsurfing, you look at your hands and you feel your body, you know that you've done some sport and it feels good. Sometimes it hurts almost every time. When you get older like me, it hurts almost every time, but it's a good hurt sometimes. Yeah. Most of the best sessions I had were always with friends. It wasn't necessarily the biggest wave or the most perfect conditions. Most of the time, I would say, was when you had a good day with your friends on the water, when you were often in the waves, you sail out and your friends are sailing inside, you're going out, and you see them riding a wave or you share a wave together. Those are probably like the absolutely most special days for me personally in windsurfing. There's been other days in windsurfing where I've been on the beach and I've seen a team rider win his world title that he's been fighting hard for. That's a very emotional thing, because the guys are kind of like part of the family. So you feel, you know, for them, you see how happy they are to be rewarded for all the work, and then you feel like that with them you can celebrate. So that's a different feeling, but it's still a very good one. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Some of the best sessions I can remember were not even in the last 15 years. They were 20 years ago when I was growing up in South Africa and sailing at night after the sun had gone down. Just you keep telling yourself one more wave, and you end up sailing with full moon or something, and coming back you can't even find your car in the dark. Those kind of things with the nature are just, it's risky, it's stupid, but it's such a rush that you just, you don't forget days like that, or evenings like that, yeah. Never had any major injuries, any broken bones really. I had a lot of ligament problems in my knees and my ankles. I had to stop more or less doing the World Cup because of knee injuries in both knees. But windsurfing, you don't tend to break too many bones. It's really, most people have at one stage or another something with their ankles, often with the wrists, shoulders. But I've never had like a very bad injury. I've been held under the waves a few times where I thought that would be my last moment, but it's normally you pop up much long before it's even getting really dangerous. Yeah.
Never got really twisted with the equipment in the wave?
Very often, yeah. Yeah. I mean, windsurfing, it's quite hard sometimes when you get washed in a big wave. Sometimes it's very hard to get away from the equipment. That's your first automatic thing you should do, is don't hold on to the equipment, just let it go, but sometimes it's difficult. The equipment washes onto you, and then you're just trying to get away from it as quickly as possible. Yeah. I cut myself often with a fin, but nothing major where, you know, small cut, maybe a few stitches or something, but nothing like majorly bad. Yeah. Lucky, been lucky. Yeah. I do miss South Africa, but I must say every time I go back, if I'm there a little bit longer, I'm ready to move again. I lived in South Africa from, I was born there and started traveling when I was 22. I lived in Europe since more or less 20 years now. Quite a few years in France and in Spain, and now since 2000 in Germany. And I like to be moving around a little bit. What I miss, of course, is my family. They're still all in South Africa. And of course, you miss the lifestyle of South Africa. It's a lot more relaxed. But it's good to, I try not to compare too much to say something is better or worse. It's more or less, you know, some aspects of South Africa are fantastic, some aspects are not that great. Especially if you have a family, it can be some issues with security or working, etc. But I like being in Germany, actually, to be honest. Yeah. Definitely. When I started traveling, I was, we had a professional windsurfing tour in South Africa. Back in the end of the 80s, I was, you know, national champion. We were sponsored by Volkswagen. We were on TV all the time. We thought we were the little stars, you know. And then we were introduced to the world stage, where we had to organize our own traveling, and it's a lot less comfortable than at home, where you had everything laid out for you, and you had to organize your own aeroplane trips, and, you know, it was very different. It's a lot more challenging. Staying at home, I mean, for me now, staying in the office, the easiest thing I can do. It's the routine that kills you, of course, but there's nothing easier than working in the office for me. But traveling definitely challenges you, and it opens your mind. We see that with all of our team riders, the guys who come from a certain place, maybe a small country, and they start traveling. You see their character just changing completely, that they start to become more responsible. Their mind is opening to new possibilities. The way they interact with people, I can only say for myself, I mean, now I speak a few more languages. I've lived in a lot of different European countries. I've traveled, not everywhere, but to quite a few places. And I appreciate things a lot more than I did before when I was living a, you know, very secluded life in South Africa. Yeah, I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity for that, and I think travel really helps a lot of people to open their horizons a little bit. Yeah. I'm actually South African. I like to hold on to my culture and be who I am because I think that's important. But at the same time, it's nice to see that you can grow a little bit as a person. And it's definitely interesting when you come into a new culture, whether it's the Oktoberfest in Germany or whether it's something in Japan. There's so many different cultures and the way people, the way different societies work. It's really interesting to go a little bit deeper into them and get to know them and see them. And it's interesting to see how different people are, but still the same in some ways. I think just keep doing that great sport because no matter how much hassle it is, or even if it's a little bit more expensive sport than some, don't forget the good moments that you have on the water, and yeah, just treat everybody else with respect when you're out there, and remember how lucky we are to even be doing a sport like that compared to what's going on in the rest of the world. Sometimes it's an absolute gift for us to be out there on the water and complaining if the wind is not good or the waves are not perfect. It's all ridiculous compared to what's going on, so we should just enjoy it and have fun.